me and Jason, we have completely different
I'm
styles,
live.
but it's very complementary. So I do fundamentals, and I learned doing a lot of technical analysis from him, and he picks up fundamentals from me, and it just works well together,
Good.
even
Yeah.
though it's like completely different styles of
So it should
trading
be.
it.
No, and we also have plenty of disagreements, so it's always good to have these conversations because for me I'm like, well, the price is saying this, and Kashop's like, well, this is saying this, and so anywhere you want to go, we're happy to go there. But so hey everybody, we're here with Jason Shapiro today. Excited to have him on again. We had him on for a full interview that was about an hour and a half a while ago. So if you guys want to check that out, that was a really good interview, very popular on our YouTube page. I think it's only on YouTube. It's not anywhere else. And so we're excited to have him back today. So Jason, just going through the basics, what are you seeing right now in the market? Like this rotation that's happened. It's the thing that's going to come up on everybody's radar. They're going to ask about what is going on with this rotation. We got small caps kind of leading the way again. Obviously pulled back recently. But what are you thinking about any of this?
So I trade, as we've talked about before, based on I look at positioning and sentiment. And I'm looking to fade mass positioning and mass sentiment when the market starts to confirm that. And what I saw earlier in the year was that people were looking to buy the things that were lagging, like the Russell, like the Dow and all that. They didn't want to chase the NASDAQ stuff. They wanted to buy the laggards. That was earlier in the year. And then about 3 weeks ago, that switched. Not only from a sentiment point of view, where suddenly I was hearing everybody saying that trade ain't going to work. They were all into the lack of breath and, and how that was so bearish. And right as I was hearing that, not coincidentally, we saw it show up in the positioning where suddenly we saw the positioning massively short Russell. About 3 weeks ago, that showed up. And so lo and behold, look what happened, right? They all ended up getting short Russell, giving up on that whole idea, and boom, that's when it happened, right? That's how I saw it. And that's all data. That's not me going back and saying, oh, look, I told you so. I mean, the data's there, right? It was on all of I've even posted it on Twitter, I believe, 3 weeks ago about the Russell thing. So the data showed it, and that's what happened to me, and that's what continues to happen.
And so, the next question is just to go through your methodology, because, guys like you and me, the thing that's always important is that, honestly, people like us, we have conversations mainly about risk management and all these things all the time. But I think new traders, like, they don't think about things like this. They just want what's hot. They want they want new signals every day and so on. So
Yeah.
You mentioned a little bit about your strategy. So what is your strategy, just for people that don't know? I know Kashop knows, but just for people that don't know your exact strategy, so we can talk about that a little bit more eloquently.
So it starts with the fact that I think that the market is a discounting mechanism. And I think that the discounting thing is not price, it is positioning. So I don't think that things are overbought because of price. I think things are overbought because there are too many people that are long, right? And same thing with oversold. So how do we figure out when too many people are long or how many people are short? And it's a combination of data and maybe some discretion, but the data I use is the commitments of traders data, which is futures data that's released every week by the CFTC that shows actual positioning in the market. So when that is showing me something is massively crowded, either long or short, I'm looking to take the opposite side. And then it's important to know that obviously this data is not right all the time, and it's nothing like that. But so I wait for a market confirmation, which I think people need to do no matter how they trade. Wait for the market to confirm your view. Don't fight the tape. So for me, market confirmation is when the market does what I call a news failure event. So let's say people were super short something, I'm starting to follow why they are so bearish, what this sort of news is that's driving this bearishness. And then I look for something to come out along those lines. So, hey, they're super bearish because they think inflation is too high. Okay. And then we get a piece of news come out that is very inflationary. And then the market can't go down on that. Right. And that's when I will get long. So it's a combination of positioning and market confirmation. And that's what makes me put on a trade.
Nice. No, I mean, I think in general, it's always important to have the market confirm our thoughts, because we all have thoughts and ideas. And so looking at positioning, I think that this is always the thing that I always thought was incredibly awesome about your part in the Market Wizards book, is talking about positioning and why it's important, and everybody on one side of the boat. So are there any trades right now that you're looking at and going, hey, everybody's on one side of the boat? I saw, I had a signal the other week for the Canadian dollar. I saw that just a day before that you had posted it too, because I went to your page to look at one of your COT charts. I saw you posted it as well. So any trades that you're looking at that you're going, hey, this needs to be on people's radar?
So I think short the metals. The metals are too crowded. And along with that, the Aussie dollar is too crowded. So I just recently, 2 days ago, got short the Aussie dollar. And that was confirmed yesterday as an example, is like, so people are too short the Aussie dollar. Yesterday, we had a stronger number in Australia, a stronger employment number, and the Aussie went up for a few hours, and then it ended up closing down on the day. So the point is, if it's not going to go up on bullish news when everybody's already long, well, when is it going to go up? And this doesn't always work. Okay. All it really gives me is great risk reward, because if it doesn't work, then I know where to get stopped out. I'll get stopped out on that high of after the number, right? So I'll lose 1 day worth of volatility. Whereas if it does work, I can catch a good turn and I can make, multiples of that 1 day. So over time, that's really where you want to be. None of this stuff is, I don't think, very predictive, so to speak, but I think it puts you in a great risk reward position, which is over time what is going to make people money.
Yeah,
So
no, great.
I have
Great. Go ahead, Kashaf.
so I have a question for you based on, so you had this period earlier in the year where the COT data was delayed. So I think there was like a couple of weeks where they didn't publish the report. So in that scenario, you're already in positions. How do you know where to get out, or how do you take new trades?
Yeah, it was a little bit of a hassle when that happened. I do have because the COT only comes out weekly, and because I have quants that have worked for me for a number of years, we developed a daily COT, which is just interpolating the data, based on changes in price and open interest. So I was using that during that period. And you got to remember, it's only at extremes that I'm looking to make a trade, So it's like if something was close to an extreme before the data stopped being published, let's say it was close to people being extremely short, and in the meantime, the market went down another 5%, you know what I mean? Then my daily will adjust for that. And then I also need this market confirmation as well, right? I'm not just buying it because of this COT. So, it wasn't a huge problem. And the ones where it were, like you say, trades that I'm in that have been going my way, and now it's possible that I should be getting out, but I don't know exactly because I don't have the actual data. I was just using my daily COT stuff to determine that.
No, I like that, because I think in general, it's like you have to always have like this daily risk parameter. There's something that can get you out no matter what. And so you have to build that into your program, or you're going to get smashed at some point. I even myself, I really like to use weeklies for exits and entries. However, there's times where it's like, hey, you're getting fucked right now. You got to get out of this immediately.
Yeah.
So you just have to build that into your system. So speaking of building this strategy, when did you first come into going, hey, like, I like the idea of the COT reports. This is really telling me something about the market that I'm not getting just from using price action or fundamentals. Because at this point you have a very, and I think any good trader has a very refined strategy, but there's always a turning point when you start to go, hey, this is the type of trader I would like to be.
So I was always trying to be a contrarian trader. But what I found was that being contrarian after 10 years, right, where my returns were roller coaster, hey, great crap, great crap. I was like, I have to do something because this is not working. It works sometimes, but it doesn't, over time, it wasn't really helping me. So I was fortunate that I had always been good about keeping notebooks of my trades and a history of my trades. And I was able to go back through there and really see what was working over time, not just a trade that had worked one time, but do those type of trades work for me over time? And I kind of threw out the ones that didn't work for me over time and kept the ones that did work for me over time, and started to focus on that. And then the COT thing really hit me in 2000, because I had been shorting the stock market in late 99, because I thought that was the big contrarian trade, right? Everywhere you went back then, everybody was talking about how much money they were making in the stock market. It was kind of the classic shoe shine boy stuff, right? But it didn't matter. The NASDAQ went up like 40, 50% in the last 3 months of 99. So if you kept shorting it, you were getting run over. Now, at that point in my life, I had actually learned the value of stop losses and risk management. I was losing money, but not a ton. But then I came across the COT stuff, and the COT didn't show that people were crowded long in the stock market until February of 2000. And I was like, man, that would have saved me a lot of money, right? So from that point on, I started to really do a lot of research into the COT and start to use that. And what I find it does, like I say, it's not that it's the greatest predictor in the world, but A, it gives great risk reward, and B, it keeps me out of trouble. It keeps me from shorting things just because I think they've gone up a lot, or I think too many people are long, right? This is hard data that keeps me out of trouble and won't allow me to short it until the data confirms it. So that's really how it's helped me more than anything else.
No, I agree. I mean, it's more of I always make the joke. It's like when you're using systems or strategies, the biggest thing that I think they do for me is keep me out of trouble, kind of like bumper bowling. If you're looking at bumper bowling and going like, all right, I can't get into the gutter at this point. That's all my systems really do. Yes, I'm still going to make mistakes. Yes, I'm going to have losing trades. Yes, there's going to be all types of things that happen, but I'm not going to probably blow up. I can figure out ways to make consistent money. So I think that's incredibly important. So when you first started trading, you tell a story a little bit about buying I think it was Japan or some index back in the day, and you kind of just walk away from the market. Can you tell a little bit about that story? Because I think there's a lot of new traders in our group and who follow us. So I'd love to hear like a little bit about your perspective on that story. You mentioned
which trade was that? I'm not sure I know which one you mean.
You said it was in the Unknown Market Wizards. You basically mentioned that you end up giving your broker like advice when to get out of a trade, and you went on vacation or something.
Oh yeah. I was trading the Hang Seng very actively then. And I was living in London. I had moved from Hong Kong to London to go to school for a year, and I was trading the Hang Seng and doing what most of us do, shorter term trading and trying to make and this and that. And I was doing okay. I was there, September, October, November, and I was up some money in that period. And then I was going away for Christmas break for a month, and I was going to Africa for a month. And this is it's not pre-internet, but it's pre-useful internet, and it's pre-smartphone. This was like in 95 or 96 or something. And for whatever reason, I was really bullish to Hang Seng. So I was long a good amount. And I knew I wasn't going to be able to see the markets. So I just told my broker, like, look, stop me out here. Otherwise, I'll talk to you in a month. And I went away. And, a month later, the market was up a lot, and I made a bunch of money. And I made more money on that than I had made in the previous 3 months combined. I probably made 3 times more money on that than in the previous 3 months combined of trading in and out and this and that, and the other thing. You know what I mean? And it struck a chord, you know, like as Livermore said, you know, the money is made in the sitting, right? And of course, I called him. I got to Nairobi or something like that, and I called him, and I'm like, "Where's the market?" He's like, "Here." I'm like, "Holy shit!" You know, I made a bunch of money. Sell, right? And if I hadn't done that, you know, and just continued to sit on it, I would have made more money, you know. But you know, so sometimes the best thing to do is not even, you know, not get too into it. Everybody gets so caught up in the minutia of the day to day. And if you're a day trader, clearly you have to do that. I would argue if you're a day trader, I would argue that your days are numbered anyway. But if you think that's what you want to do, then go for it. But for me, I'm a position trader. I have found that I have my system and me have no ability to predict the path. Even when I get a trade right, you know, the path ends up being a lot more random than I'm just looking at the winning trades, right? Than the ultimate the ultimate destination. You know, the path is determined by all these little short-term things, right? Hey, this piece of news comes out. Hey, this piece of news comes out, right? But the destination, I believe, is going to be the same. You know, so I don't get caught in the minutia of the path. You know, I had a trade recently, as an example, where we got short copper, right, back in mid-May, right, where copper was suddenly, obviously, people were super long, and it was like we were getting comments from people that copper was the no-brainer trade of the year, right? So that's the kind of thing I'm looking to fade. That plus the positioning. And you know, we got a news failure, and I got short copper, and all's fine. But we had this like move up from the end of July for like a week and a half, where it was a huge move up, and it cut a lot into my P&L on that trade. And that sucks, you know. And I have people on my Discord and stuff like, "Oh man, what do you do about this?" Oh, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I don't do anything about it, man. The trade's either going to get stopped out, you know what I mean, or it's going to take me out at my where I get out. You know, it's one or the other, you know, and that's fine. And look what's happened. You know, I bring this one up because it's a positive one, but you know, copper's now on new lows, so that move up in July meant absolutely nothing, you know, other than the mark-to-market daily P&L. But net, just staying in it has been much better for me. So I forget what the original question was, but just the minutia of the randomness of the day to day is something that for me I have to ignore. Is it easy to do? No. Do I hate when trades go against me? You know, I'm up money and then I give a bunch back. Yeah, I hate it, of course, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like I have enough time now. You're talking about 24 years now of managing this same system that I feel pretty confident of what is going to happen over time if I am disciplined to it, right? So any one trade doesn't really make a difference to me. Okay, hey, we had a big profit in this trade and then we gave it all back and got stopped. That sucks. Okay, but it happens. You know what I mean? And it should really not have a long-term effect on anything.
No, I like that because you know that as I'm a trend follower, so most of the time, and that's funny because you know what I love your stuff, but we're also on the opposite side of things so much because I'll be in those things that everybody's long at certain points, but I also have to look at it in the same way. Whereas, and this is this thing, there's all different types of trading, and so when you look at it in the same way and go, okay, well I'm long something, and yes, positioning's changed, certain things I don't care about, and so on. Like you have to just really understand your strategy and your system. And it's like, you have to know where to get out, where to get in and so on, and really kind of be disciplined about that across the board. And it's something that's come up for me. You know, somebody was asking me questions about this once, you know, why do you think your system will continue to work? And I gave the answer that you just did basically. And they said, I said, over time, this works because of this. And they were like, well, why do you believe that? Why do you believe that? And I was like, well, I think some of us have this, like, I guess the only way to explain it is faith, some sort of faith that the strategy, the system's going to work over time. And so it's kind of, it's hard to explain it in a way that, like, the general public would get very easily. But it's like, for me, I back test, I run these strategies, I run these systems, and that's the best I can do. Just like you said, I don't know when this is going to go up perfectly, or when this is going to go down perfectly, or if copper's reversing trend and then it's going to go back down again. I don't understand those things. I do know that over time my strategy works. So I like that
You're
said
a
that.
trend follower. I'm a counter trend guy.
Yeah,
your stuff will work sometimes. My stuff will work sometimes.
exactly.
You have to know that, right? You just have to know that.
Yeah,
you do what you do and produce the return stream that you are looking to produce, and you can monitor that. And if all of a sudden that starts to fail, then you can start to question it, right? But until then, drawdowns are part of it. Losing money is part of it. I know there are people out there who never lose money, but unfortunately, that's only in their minds. So,
and just like you, and this because you run a system and lots of different trades. Everybody could pull out one trade a day and say, "Look how great this trade is doing." If you had, like, especially a trend follower, like, I have 20 trades on. I'm sure I could pull out one trade each day and say, "Look how great I'm doing. I'm killing it." And I see that all the time on Twitter.
Man. It's all bullshit. It's all a scam. Complete. You know what I mean? It's all such a load of bullshit. These people show, oh, look, I made 200 grand on this trade today. Okay, great. What about the other 10 trades you did? And what about the trades you've done all year? And, it's all such a load of bullshit. People are full of shit. So that's fine. You know what I mean? I can't do anything about that. I can only control my own thing, so.
So Nick, I want you to elaborate on this a little bit. Nick, elaborate on this. What exactly you're trying to say? Because I'd love to hear Jason's thoughts on day trading, because you already know mine. Go ahead, Kashap.
Yeah, no, I was just about to say that you have these guys who share P&L screenshots, like, of their account, how they performed over a particular period, and then you will find that they have just been long uranium or tech or something or the other, which is done incredibly well. Then when the trade enters a drawdown, the account is gone from Twitter.
Yeah. People can fool themselves all they want. This is the great thing about trading. P&L is the only answer, right? And you can tell me you're making millions of dollars, and maybe that makes you feel good, even though you're losing money. I don't really care. You know what I mean? Like, you do you, man. You know what I mean? So I think people just have a false understanding of what this game is really about, especially when they first come in. And as I did, okay, I'm not ragging on anybody else, or just like me or anybody else, right? And in time, the P&L will teach them that it's not what they think it's about, or it won't, and they'll just get out and they'll do something else with their life, right? Which is what most people do. But the people that actually want to stick with it, will be forced to learn over time. This is not politics where you can stick with one party for your whole life and justify and love everything that your party says, whether it's true or not, because there is no measurement of it, right? This is not that. This has a definite measurement. P&L will tell you all you need to know, right? Because you don't have unlimited resources that you can continue to lose money forever. So eventually you'll either quit or you will start to accept new realities.
So the question, go ahead, Kashap. I'll get to it when you're done. Go ahead.
So the late 90s, when you were trading, so you had this currency devaluation in Asia, then you had the Russian debt default, then LTCM, and the futures brokers, they were not as financially stable, or the regulations weren't that tight back then, if I remember correctly. So how worried were you? Like, I'm sure you were making money with your strategies, but how worried were you about whether you could get the money out of your account? Because I think that was something that that's something that traders think of, like especially with crypto. Today we had this news that a big Indian exchange went bankrupt. People lost $230 million, and that money is gone forever.
Yeah, I was never worried about that type of stuff. I trade in the publicly listed markets, primarily in the USA. You know what I mean? So these are all regulated markets. In particular, the futures markets have been around for 100 years. You know, and they have a lot of things in there that that make sure that they can't go bankrupt, stuff like that. Could it happen? Of course, it could happen. Listen, people got stuck in that one futures brokerage a few years ago that went bankrupt, and they couldn't get their money out, and it took like 6 months before they got their money out. I've been fortunate that has not happened to me up to now. I hope that that's not the case. I think that the day that you can't get your money out of U.S. exchange, that's going to be the least of our worries at that point. It's like everyone wants to trade this end of the world trade, the U.S. and the debt and the society and all that stuff. And I don't even disagree with it. But the truth is, when that day comes, the last thing you're going to be worried about is how much money's in your fucking futures account, man, because, you'll be worried about, do you have enough ammo and fresh water and food, right? So, yeah, I can't worry about that type of stuff.
And it's interesting that came up because the first question we got today was about CrowdStrike, the CrowdStrike issue and all of these things. So people are all I feel the same way, where it's like, I think I've over time prepared myself in ways that if everything disappeared from the markets, I wouldn't die. Nothing would change that drastically. So it would be painful, but it wouldn't change that.
I'm not going to lie. I specifically live in a place, okay, and I don't own guns, okay. I'm not one of those people. I'm not a gun person, but I do live in a place where I'm on a well, okay. So and right behind my house is a freshwater lake, so I'm always going to have water, right? Where I am is pretty rural. There's a lot of farms around here. I feel like I'm always going to have food. And even if I didn't, I'm on 5 acres. I could put me up a chicken coop. I can get me some Rhode Island Reds and put me up a chicken coop, and you know what I mean, and grow some food over here, right? I'm on solar, so I could theoretically grow my tomatoes right inside for no cost, right? And get some lights, you know what I mean? And I can grow my food right inside. So, that's not necessarily because I think the world is going to end, but I feel like I'm in a pretty good place with that. And as far as the gun thing goes, if the gangs, get up here and start shooting me, well, then there ain't no hope anyway. By the time they get up here, I mean, I'm 3 hours from New York, 2 hours from Boston, and an hour from Providence, right? I'm in the middle of nowhere. I'm at the end of a cul-de-sac that's way up a hill, By the time they get here, shit, I don't want to be around anyway. So,
Jason, you got a little background noise. Somebody asked if you could mute the TV or something. I don't know.
Sure. Let me turn down the TV.
Okay, yeah. But no, I wanted to get into the day trading in a second, because that comes up, and I'd love to hear Jason's views. Everybody's heard mine, and it's not that I make fun of day trading, and people always say like, hey, it's you don't know day trading. It's like, no, I did it. I was the day trading guy. I've even posted my day trading systems that I've used before and so on. It's just I haven't met many profitable day traders over the long run. I have met some, and I brought them on the show, and we've had conversations. But I wonder what Jason's view is on it, since it came up. So, what's your view on day trading, Jason?
I think it's a horrible idea. Go for it, man. I know. I don't know anything about day. I actually know a shitload about day trading. Okay.
We all day traded at first.
And I can show you a system that actually works over time in day trading. And I have worked with people that have day traded. I've known hundreds of day traders, hundreds, not 100, hundreds. And the amount I know that are still doing it, I think one. If he's still doing it. I haven't talked to him in about a year. I know he was having trouble a couple of years ago. So that's what I think about it. Like, if you could do it, hey man, great, go for it. But I'm telling you, you can't. And I'm telling you, you're going to regret it. And you're not going to listen to me. You're going to say, I'm just some old freaking whatever boomer that doesn't know and all that stuff. And that's fine. Go for it. It's your money, man. It ain't my money. Go for it. But don't come crying to me is all I'm trying to say. Come back to me and I can probably help you learn how to trade and what really works. But don't come crying to me that your day trading blew you out. You know what I mean? Because 99% of you are going to lose money. So you're going to be the 1%. Good for you. And I wish you tons of luck. I hope it works for you, man. I don't wish anybody any bad. I don't want people to lose money. But it's a very, very low probability thing. So why not go with a higher probability thing than a lower probability thing? Why prove that you're the one that's going to do it? You're the 1 out of 100. I think I saw some firm did a chart. Like it was like, here's the amount of people that make money day trading. And it was like 1 out of 100. Mm-hmm. Here's the amount of people that walk out of a casino making money. And it was like 6 out of 100. So you have better odds going to a casino than you do day trading over time. And I understand you're going to make a day trade and it's going to be great. You're going to be like, this is the life, man. I worked for 3 hours today and I made X amount of dollars today day trading. This is the life. Okay. Talk to me in 3 years. Talk to me in 5 years. Your one day trade is not going to determine. So.
No, and that's the main thing I try to say about it. It's not that you can't have good periods. Like I've seen, you know, not to mention funds always try to bring in a day trader. They find someone who's had good returns for a year. They try to bring him in and they go, okay, this person's going to make up when you're having your slow periods and trends aren't everywhere. We're going to bring this guy in and he's going to smooth out your returns. And it just doesn't usually work in the long run for that. That's not to mention I have met a few. You know, I have met a few good day traders. So I'm not like hating on everybody about it. And I'm not even telling, like you said, I'm not telling people not to do it. I'm just saying that I feel like a little bit longer methodology is going to only help you. So why not kind of put the probabilities on your side, have a little bit longer term method, and then see how it works. Like if it works terribly, go back to day trading. Great. But I feel like everybody I've ever known who's traded for a long term, whether they're day traders or not, they end up extending their time frame always.
Well, that's the other thing is psychologically, day trading will fry your brain, man.
Yeah.
You know, the psychological toll that takes every day. Now you're looking, the market closes and you're either like euphoric or you're suicidal. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It'll fry your brain. But I think the point that you made before is important. All of these things, be it trend following, be it counter trend trading, be it day trading, be it whatever, should all be a part of a portfolio that you have with your money if what you are looking to do is grow your net worth, right? They're all a part of it. What you want over time in your life. And the earlier you get to this, the better, but it usually takes people until they're 50 to get to this. But you know, what you want is a bunch of different return streams that don't have correlation to each other over time, right? That's how you grow wealth, right? You think you're going to grow wealth because you're going to put all your money into a trading account and you're going to just trade it up and turn, you know, your 20 grand into $200 million. You're dreaming. And the sooner you understand that, the longer you will have to grow your wealth, right? But look, I didn't understand it. It took me 10 years. I wasted 10 years of my life. Okay. So, and people aren't going to listen. They have to learn for themselves. We know that humans are not going to listen to other people. They're going to learn for themselves. So learn for yourself, you know.
And also trading's hard.
What I think, but you don't have to listen to what I think.
And trading's hard generally. You know, that's the one thing that's really important to say here. Any which way you look at it, whether you're a day trader, trend follower, contrarian, whatever type of trading it is, it's going to be hard and it's going to have low probabilities working for you. So you really have to kind of understand those things before coming in and kind of really stick with it and understand those things. So speaking about mental health, you mentioned like fried, you know, and
I mentioned what? Sorry?
Your brain could be fried from day trading or just generally markets, man. Markets, like I think it's literally like markets will fry your brain if you're staring at them generally all day long. You'll talk to people, and I'm sure you talk to people too, which are like, I'm studying the markets, and they're like staring at their accounts all day long. Like that would drive me insane. So, what do you do to kind of like smooth out like that? Some people are probably on here going like, I have to stare at my account all day long. I have to wait for every single trade. I have to do all of these things. And then also when they're done trading, they're still thinking about trading. So what do you do to kind of like, chill out, relax your mind, and come back the next day, especially like going through like a losing period or some bad trades?
It's really hard. I have a process. I believe in my process. I do my very best to follow my process, and therefore that should be it. That's on paper. But the truth is, and I don't day trade. My decisions are all pretty much made at the end of the day. I still sit in front of this screen all day long, and at night. My whole house here is set up in a way so that I can have my desk here. This is actually supposed to be the dining room, but I can look right into my living room, at my TV, at my kitchen, at my wife's art studio so that we can all be together. But I sit here all freaking day and a good part of the night, despite the fact that I'm not actively trading, right? And I say, oh, well, trades lose money. It's part of it. It still pisses me off, just like anybody else. I'm not a robot. I'm a human. But the one is, it does help me that I know my process. I do my process, and that's what I'm supposed to do. That helps me. I do participate in meditation every day, which is something I picked up a long time ago when I lived in Asia. Forgetting about trading, I think that meditation will change your life no matter what you do with your life. But in particular, something that's so mentally draining as trading, I think that meditation is a huge advantage, right? And I have a hobby. I think hobbies are very important, music, I play guitar. So when I'm playing guitar, my mind is not thinking about what the S&Ps are doing right now. I think things like that help. But I'm not going to sit here and say when I have a horrible, shitty day in the market and I lose a bunch of money, I go sit down and I play guitar. I do have harder time concentrating on the guitar. There's no doubt about it, right? So all these things are great, but they don't totally take away from it. Family, obviously, is an important thing too. I was lucky enough that I was in a marriage that was horrible, and for 15 years I got divorced. I met another woman that I married to, and I think the second time around I made a much better decision because of the lessons that I learned in the first time around. I wasn't looking to get married. I met someone that ended up being right for me, and that has been an incredible thing for me. She doesn't know anything. She's a preschool teacher. She doesn't know anything about markets, economics. You know what I mean? We don't have conversations about that. Very, very rarely she'll say to me, how'd you do? Right. She'll never say to me on a day. She usually says it because she catches up now and she hears all my stuff. She'll usually say at the end of the month, how'd it go this month? But outside of that, that part of my life has nothing to do with this part of my life. And she's so wonderful to me. And it makes me want to be wonderful to her. That helps me take my mind off of that stuff too.
No, that's great because I think it's one that's really deep and generally like I think that me getting out with my fiance, going to gardens, going to like things like that, like just something that has nothing to do with trading is the best way to reset. Kashop, what do you do to reset as a trader? When you're going through like a period of losing and you're just like, hey, I need to kind of reset my brain.
So I did have that kind of situation in October 2022 where I was just like, for an entire month, I'm just going to sit on cash, not do anything, not look at market. The thing is, it's really hard to not look at the market. I can tell myself I will not trade, but it's very hard to tell myself I will not look at what the S&P is doing or what gold is doing because I'm so used to just waking up in the morning and the first thing I do is look at TrendSpider, look at my trading apps, see what's happening, look at my P&L. So it's really hard to do. But after that end of the month, I came upon something called a dopamine detox, and I started doing that pretty regularly. So, dopamine detox helps you. So, our mind is used to constant flood of stimulants, and what a dopamine detox does is, so you need, let's say, 10 stimulants to release a particular amount of dopamine. As you get overloaded with stimulation, you need 20, 30 stimulants to get the same effect. It's kind of like with your addiction, where you need more and more alcohol to get the same high. So, what a dopamine detox does is it just resets your counter lower. So, then you're not as responsive to stimulation, which makes it easier for you to focus. So, once I started doing that, my trading drastically improved and I went on to my best period. And I had a similar break last year, but for different reasons, because I was moving from India to Dubai, so I wasn't really trading. So I followed kind of your system where I put in trailing stop loss, just let my trades run. And that was again a very profitable period. And I was not even looking at my screen. So I think somewhere just dissociating from the market at times works. Obviously you can't do that all the time because you're trading and you cannot really be away, but those few periods where I'm away, I think that really just helps.
I think it's also, again, these are all things that it's very tough for somebody new and somebody young. I hate to sound like the old codger, but to understand. But believe it or not, money is not the most important thing in the world, right?
Mhm.
Having enough money so that you can eat, so that your children can eat, so that, whatever you can afford, you know, is important. Okay. But then there's millions of studies on this. But once you get past a certain amount, right, which isn't a lot, okay, your happiness quotient does not go up with more money, right? I lived in a town where a lot of people that worked for SAC Capital lived, and I had a number of neighbors that worked for SAC Capital. And they all said the same thing. Steve Cohen is the most miserable human being they've ever known in their life. Everybody that worked for him said the same thing. The guy's worth what? I don't know. Who knows how many billions of dollars? He owns sports teams, right? He can do anything he wants, and he's known to be the most miserable person in the world. That's sad, man. To me, that's sad. So it's also a question of that, realizing, and this takes a long time to realize, and people say this to me all the time. Oh, you can say that now because you have money. I felt this way when I had no money, and trust me, there were times when I didn't have enough money to put food on my kids' table. Okay. But it's kind of important to realize that as well, I think, which is a hard place to get to. But again, meditation and these type of more deeper thoughts do help with that, family and all this stuff, right? You're dying with the same amount that you came in with, man, which is nothing. Okay. So, you have to try and find joy in life, whether you're making money or losing money trading on that particular day, one way or the other. That's to me is a very deep conversation, but that to me is much more important. And I was just as guilty. Look, when I was 25 years old, the only thing I gave a crap about was I want to be a billionaire. I know what it's like to be there. But I think that helps too, trying to get to that place. This is an important place to get to and a very difficult place to get to. And I'm not saying I'm at that place, but I try to get to that place.
Yeah, aspiring to get to that place is kind of incredibly important, and it's incredibly hard to do. It's the world's around us. I think that the one thing that's really important, and also pertains to the conversation we've been having about trading, which is the idea of traders trying to keep up with the Joneses. Like, you see these guys post trades every single day and they're doing great, and you think they're all making money every single day. But if you actually looked at the brokerage accounts and you could see everybody's trades, you would go, okay, most of these people aren't making money.
Of course not. And there's something else. Even if you want to take out the whole philosophical side of it, the truth is trading becomes a lot easier when you don't need the money, right? And what does don't need the money mean, right? Clearly, if you can't eat, then you need the money. But do I not need money when I have $100,000 or $1 million or $10 million? The lower you can make that number, the quicker you can get there, right? I've said it many times, but I live a very simple life. In particular, relative to what my current income is, right? But that's because I think one is a function of the other. My current income has been able to get to where it is because I live a very simple life. I have no financial stress. You know what I mean? I don't have. Could I go out and buy a house that's worth 10 times the amount of the house that I live in now? Yes. But I don't want to have that over my head. I don't want the mortgage payment. I don't want the taxes. I don't want the upkeep. I don't want all that stuff, right? I ran a firm once where I had a whole bunch of people working for me because I wanted to be the next big guy, right? And so there was a huge monthly nut involved in that. And I shut it down after three or 4 years because that was killing me. The psychology of that was killing me. I now run a firm that has one person working here, me. I run the same exact process that I ran at that firm. And yet the 7 years that I've been doing this, my returns have been much better than the 4 years I was doing that, running the same exact process. And it's because the psychology of I don't need the money has helped a lot in being able to not panic on losing trades or letting the winning trades ride and all that stuff, right? It helps. All this stuff helps with the trading, not just your life, but it helps with everything in your life, including trading.
No, I love that because this is the conversation that and I don't know what somebody just brought up the noise thing again. I'm like, I don't hear any noise anymore myself. So I don't know what's going on in the background still. Maybe they're watching from earlier. But no, I think it's incredibly important to have this conversation because so many people get into trading. And like something I always bring up to traders when we're having this type of conversation is like, when were you happiest in your life? Nobody ever says like, when you had the most money. Nobody ever says that. People talk about being young or, doing this or that or the other thing. And it's like, well, that's how you find happiness. You find those things that you like you said, like little things like hobbies, finding things that you enjoy to do with your partner. Like doing those things are incredibly important. But if you're stuck here at the screen all day long, and then you're reading what everybody else is doing and how great trading they're doing, and like you're feeling low on yourself every day, and then you look outside and you see this guy has a new car, like, and you're comparing yourself all the time, like you're going to drive yourself crazy and you're going to be a worse trader because of it.
That's
So
right.
speaking about,
there's no doubt about that, and people don't want to hear it, and young people don't want to hear it, and people that are looking to get rich, they don't want to hear that stuff. But I'm telling you right now, that's damn true, man. What you just said, that there is no truer thing than that. And forget about all that. It's going to help your trading as well. So if that's what you're looking to do, then you have to do this stuff too, because that's what's going to help your trading. And know that those people are full of shit. Every single guy that posts his new Maserati and his pile of cash is full of shit. Okay? They wouldn't be doing that if they weren't full of shit. That's just fact. That's just human nature, right? You don't see Stanley Druckenmiller posting his new Maserati and his pile of cash, okay? The guy's a multi-billionaire from trading, right? You don't see it, right? People, it's just so obvious. The human nature of that is just so obvious. And, you're 100% right, I think, with all of those statements. You'll drive yourself crazy. I tell people that come to me all the time that say, I want to be a trader. What should I do? I tell them the same thing every time. Go to law school. This is not a great way to spend your entire life. Go to law school, make money as a lawyer. And then if you want to trade, okay, instead of buying the $3 million house that you can afford because you're a successful lawyer, buy the $1 million house and then put the $2 million into an account and trade it while you're making money as a lawyer. Because then, you won't be having the trading won't be affected by your need for money, which will make you a better trader. People think I'm being sarcastic when I say that, but I'm being totally honest. Go to law school, man, and then trade with your extra money. You'll make a ton of money as a lawyer. Don't spend money to keep up with the Joneses, right? Live in a normal house, drive a normal car, put that money into account and trade it. And then if you have 3-5 years of great trading and it seems like you're a great trader and you're comfortable, okay, go ahead. Quit your law job. Go trade, right? That to me is the way to do it. It's not how I did it. But if I had to go back again, it's how I would do it.
Because it's the security of it that keeps you sane. You know, that's the thing is like, you know, I'm fortunate that I started to have enough income to start putting things aside and then go, okay, here's my account. This is money I don't touch. This is money that I don't exactly need. And then you can just build it. But if you're trying to build it because you got to get to this point to do this, like you're going to start leveraging up. You're going to start buying like crazy options, like zero DTEs and so on, and just trying to like make this crazy amount of money very quickly. I mean, if you talk to a trader and you say, hey, what are you, you know, your first year, what returns are you trying to look for? They'll say, oh, I'm looking for, you know, maybe 100%, you know, 200%. And you're like, well, you'd be doing well if you were only down 20%. You know, I'd be very proud of you if you only weren't down. And they're like, what the hell are you talking about? I'm going to be up 100%.
George Soros is one of the most successful traders that's ever lived. He's averaged 26% a year. So if you think you're going to do better than that, you know, over time, good luck.
So here's the great one. I'd love to pass this to you because to me, I know the answer to this, but this is your time. I'd love to hear your answer to this. 1% a day seems feasible for you guys. Why not do that? So why wouldn't we just look at the market and go, I'm going to make 1% each day?
Yeah. 250% a year. Be great, wouldn't it? Listen, I don't really do this so much, but we still laugh about it with one of my friends. Like, I'll have, you know, whatever, a 1% day. Okay. Like, well, shit, if I can just make 1% a day, you know, and the amount of money that I manage and the amount I get paid in fees for my profit, wow, I'll make $60 million this year. That'd be fucking awesome, right? It's human nature to do that. Yeah, I get it, but it's stupid. No, it's not. It's destructive. It's destructive. Nobody in the history of the world, let's put it that way, has made 1% a day over any kind of time frame. Okay.
Bernie Madoff did.
Correct. No, and even he didn't make 1% a day. He was putting up.
That would have been too crazy.
Right. Correct. So if you think that you're going to be that person, listen, I love self-confidence, man. You know what I mean? It's great. But I'm not here to say you're kidding yourself. And what you're going to do is lose all your money trying to do that. So, and again, I know you're not going to listen to me, and I know I'm just some old boomer that doesn't know the new world and all that. I know that. So go for it. You know, it's like, this is where I've gotten to because I have a child who is 23 years old and stubborn as shit and doesn't want to listen to a single thing I say. And I stopped battling with her too. I said, hey, go do your thing. You know what I mean? Do your thing. I can't argue with you anymore. You know, I've given you the knowledge that I have gained through my life, through mostly my mistakes. I can think of very few people that have made more mistakes than me. I was one of the dumbest kids that ever lived. Okay. And if you're not going to listen to that because whatever, then okay, then go learn for yourself. I can't do it anymore. And that's how I feel with a lot of this trading stuff too. You know, the people that have had, for example, success on my webpage and on my Discord are not really new traders. You know, we've had some newer traders come on there and they consistently make, you know, it's great because I've had thousands of people come through here. So we start to see the similarities, right? And it's always the same. The newer traders come in there and want to tell us about all the money that they're making and about how what we're doing, you know, every time there's a losing trade, how this fucking system sucks and you know what I mean? And this and that. But the people that are having success on there are the ones that have been through this, you know, they've been trading for a number of years and have learned these lessons the hard way and now come on there and are like, hey, man, this is, you know, and it's not even a question of copy trading me, which is not what I'm getting people to do, right? I'm getting people to trying to get people to understand these larger concepts and then apply it in their trading, right? It's not about use COT. It's not about, you know, this stuff. It's about these larger concepts. And those are the people that I see that are now having a lot of success, the people that have done that, right? And I'm getting on there and saying, oh, this is great. And thank you, because just this one idea has improved my trading a lot. Just this idea of these things that we're talking about has improved my trading a lot.
Yeah. And just to add, you know what, just trading to me, and the one thing that was explained to me years ago, which is lumpy returns. I'd love to have days and days of having little returns, and it adds up, and it's perfectly, and I'm happy at the end of every day of going, hey, my trades go up every day. But lumpy returns was always explained to me because if I look at my returns and I go, okay, this month was down, this month's down, but then I'll have 4 months of these ridiculous returns. And then you'll go back to choppy, down, flat, whatever. And then you'll have some ridiculous returns. And that's what I think is really how you build wealth over time as a trader, is just to have those crazy months, those crazy periods where the market, because there's a lot of things that go into play as a trend trader to make money, which is you have to kind of be in those trades at the right time. And keep yourself alive so you're not in a nasty drawdown, so you can just add to your profits at those really good times and not lose much during those bad times. And that's for any strategy. Every strategy doesn't work all the time.
That's what trading is right there. That's all it is. That's all it is. The rest
that's a secret.
No, it is.
So
and again,
2018, there was this ETF XIV, which was the inverse volatility ETF. And it had that smooth return curve, went up every single day. And everyone thought, this is so cool, we should just short volatility. And then one day it just broke, went to zero. And I think if you're looking for smooth returns, that's kind of the risk that you take, because the only way you get those smooth returns is you're either selling options or you're selling volatility or something of that sort. Because other way, whatever you trade, it is not possible to generate those kind of smooth returns.
No, that's a great point, because it's you kind of get into that period when you build a system. For example, I can build a 90% win rate system very easily, and I've shown this on my channel a bunch of times. 90% win rate systems, you can build them. However, they don't have any positive expectancy. They actually blow up over time. So if I make $100, $100 9 times, and then I lose $1,000 on the one trade, I've still gone negative. So basically, you really have to understand, like, what's your strategy? How do you gather positive expectancy? All of these things. And yeah, like these conversations that we're having, we're traders who've been doing this for a while, got hit in the head plenty of times by doing this. So yeah, we sound like old guys here trying to make stuff up.
Nobody wants to hear that, man.
Yeah, nobody wants to hear that.
They want to hear what is S&P doing in the next 3 hours. That's what people want to hear.
Yeah,
they don't want to hear these things. What you're talking about, which is 100% true. Look, we've seen there are professional funds out there that are vol sellers, and just like you say, they make money 90% of the time, and they blow out. They call it like a blind man walking up a hill, right? He's walking up the hill, he can't see, and then the cliff comes, and he doesn't see it coming, right? Yeah, it's exactly what it is, I think the higher the return, the higher the hit rate, probably the worse the returns. I know my stuff makes money less than 40% of the time. My winning rate is less than 40% winners.
Well, people always compare that and they go, okay, well, 40% winners, you can't make money. And it's like, no, the losers are smaller than the winners. And, I've brought up that chart a million times, but it's risk to reward. If you can be right 20% of the time and have 1 to 5 risk. And understanding those things is how you become a good trader and not get too caught up in like, hey, I had a losing trade here, it's the end of the world. It's like, okay, but if I have a 1 to 5 risk and I'm taking small size, I'm only losing 1% of my account to gain 5% of my account, I can be wrong a lot. And then you're going to have those periods where you're right a lot. And then you're going to make a ton of money during those periods. And that's what creates those lumpy returns with small drawdowns. So understanding those things as much as people don't want to hear those things, that's trading. That's completely it. I had somebody tell me the other day, this is funny, you'll like this one, Jason. I was having a conversation with somebody about something in markets, and they were like, that's why you're only right this amount of time, 40%, 50% of the time. And I'm right all the time because I can see the future. And I was like, and then like his name was John Connor, and he had a bunch of Terminator stuff on there. So, once again, that's the only way you're going to do it. Are you a time traveler? Okay, great. Maybe you know the future. Are you a trader, and do you not know the future? Do you understand that markets are this thing that's ever changing, ever shifting? and you're just trying to be wrong small and right big, that's how you make money.
You get no argument from me, man.
Mm-hmm.
You get no argument from me. That is what it is. You're dealing in an uncertain future. So that is what it is. People spend an inordinate amount of time trying to find the secret that's going to tell them what the market is going to do tomorrow, be it technical analysis, be it whatever they're looking at, right? And that's exactly what's not going to help them. What's going to help them is understanding that exact concept of what you just said. That's what trading is. And listen, don't take it from me. I'm just some jerk. Don't take it from Jason. He's just some jerk. Okay, we're just jerks. Take it from the people that have said these very same things before me, whose names are like, Stanley Druckenmiller, George Soros, Paul Tudor Jones, Bruce Kovner. Take it from them. Don't take it from me. I didn't listen to them when I first heard that. I listened to me. Bullshit. I'm going to be able to do this, right? And then 10 years later, I said, well, maybe I should have listened to them. And then I started to listen to them. And that's when things turned around for me.
But also, and just one more thing to kind of get through before we get off here, but the delusional mentality that some of us have, I think, is incredibly important. And I think this is why the arguments come up like this so much. It's like, I was also delusional, and I also thought I could do, whatever I wanted to do. And hey, position sizing, like I remember asking traders I knew for the secrets. Hey, tell me what to do. Tell me what to buy. Tell me this. And they would send me a book on risk management. They'd be like, go buy this book on, and I'd be so pissed off. And I'd be like, what the hell is this? Tell me what to buy. And I do this over and over and over again until one day I was like, you know what? I'm going to read this book. And I started to listen. And, what do you think about, do you think the delusional personality that some of us have is kind of what makes us a good trader and a bad trader all at the same time? Like maybe bad at the beginning until we get humbled?
It's human nature. You just said you went through it. The same things that I'm saying people shouldn't go through. You just said you went through it. I went through it. Okay.
Yep.
So it's just human nature, so you have to go through it. And that's why I say, I know you're not going to listen to me because I wouldn't have listened. I wouldn't have listened to me. You wouldn't have listened to me. Right. But the reason we're still alive and doing this is because eventually we caught on. And I'll say it, the quicker you can catch on today to that, the sooner you're going to be able to start making money and develop wealth over time. If you wait until you're 60, you're not going to have a lot of time left, so that's the best advice I can give. I know that you're not going to, or most people are not going to get there until they go through what I went through and what you went through and what everybody else goes through. You have to go through it. We all have to learn our own lessons. Otherwise they won't sink in anyway, so, we all have to learn our own lessons. So go out, learn the lesson, man. And hopefully you don't learn the lesson. Hopefully you just crush it right away. You find the thing that everybody's been looking for all of human nature, which is how to see the future. And you just crush it. That'd be great, man. And when you do, please send me an email and tell me what a jerk I am and how wrong, and how wrong I was. I'd love to hear the story, but other than that, you have to get to the point that you have talked about.
No, that's great. We'll end it there. Go ahead, Kashaf. You have anything to end on?
No, I think for every trader, it's the same thing. Like you can give them all the advice that you have accumulated, but then they have to get the knocks, and then they're like, yeah, this guy was right, because you're just not going to listen. It's like telling the child, don't touch the fire. And of course, they are going to touch it and get burnt. And then they're like, oh, okay, now I know why I should not do it. And I think that it's that independent streak that makes everyone get into trading. If you don't have it, you're never going to choose this career if you don't have that.
That's right. Catch 22.
No, good point. And so we'll end on that. Jason, as always, absolutely great to have you on. I hope everybody enjoyed his wisdom, and so we'll see you soon. All right, guys, and we're on every week at 11, and we're also have an 11 a.m. show on Mondays, the Commodity Report. So we'll see you guys soon.
Cool. Thanks, man.
Thanks for coming on, Jason.
Everyone.